Well, this is going to be a little bit different. About a month ago, my neighbor from about 4 doors down, he rings my doorbell and he's got this thing over his shoulder. And he wants me to turn it down for him. Well, he knew I had a lathe. So it's 42 inches long. But the problem is, he wants it turned down to a taper. In other words, at this end here, he wants it this diameter. I think it's about 5 1/4 inches. And at the other end, he wants it that diameter. I think that's 3 1/4. So I got to figure out now, how do I turn this at a taper? And I've never turned anything this big. When I agreed to do this for him back in the summer, like about 6 months ago, I didn't realize it was so big. And what this is it's a piece of oak from an oak tree here in Manitoba. And to me it doesn't look like oak, at least not yet. Maybe once it's sanded down and varnished or whatever he's planning to do with it, it will look like oak. And when he brought it, it was all wet. In fact, I think it might have even had a little bit of snow on it. And I told him, I said, I think that's going to crack when it dries out. Oh no, it won't crack. So, well, he's been experienced with this kind of oak before, so I took his word for it. But I can see it's cracking. So, that means I got to really keep my RPM down on the lathe here. It's going to fly apart from the centrifugal force, and that wouldn't be good. Anyway, I think what I'm going to try to do is use my spindle duplicator. And what I can do is I can set the duplicator at an angle and sort of lock it so that the little scraper doesn't go in and out. It'll just go in a straight line back and forth at whichever angle I happen to mount it on the bed here. At least that's the plan. I haven't tried it yet. And last time I used the spindle duplicator was when I made the wall clock. Or not the wall clock, but the, what did I call that? Anyway, this is it. It's hanging up in the living room right now. Beautiful clock, by the way. And I made 6 spindles, all the same. And I used the spindle duplicator. It worked out great. Anyway, let's see if I can somehow get this mounted in the lathe here. The lathe will actually take something a little bigger than this. But this is pretty well maxing it out. Anyway, like I said, man, this is cracked bad. Here we go. Now, even though this is a variable speed lathe, it has 2 speeds, a high and a low. Right now it's on high speed for when I was turning pens. Needless to say, I don't need high speed. So all we do is we just move the belt over. That's not too hard. Yeah, that's all there is to it. The spindle speed is about 50 RPM right now. And that's as slow as it'll go. Now, I very seldom use this spurred dead center. I think maybe I've only used it once. I like to use a chuck. But until I get this turned down a little bit so that it's round and I can grab it with a chuck, I gotta try and use this. Just gotta be really careful. I don't know, I feel really uncomfortable about this for some reason. Well, let's see what happens if I run it. Yeah, it's about 120 RPM there. Now before I increase the RPM to make it just a little bit easier to turn, I'm going to wrap the ends and probably the middle with, tightly with a belt or a cord of some kind. And that way, if it does begin to want to pull apart, the cord or the belt or whatever I'm going to use, it'll help to hold it together. Just make things a little bit safer. However, that's going to have to be tomorrow.